in Earth's direction. The space weather story of the last day from a geophysical perspective was the enhancement of the solar wind with the coronal hole stream. 15 hours of geomagnetic instability, but never dropping into storm status. On the sun. The thing to watch was the active area on the north, which kind of looks like it got hit by the sun version of a megaquake. A small filament destabilized in the middle of the region and triggered an amazing growth of sunspots. Yesterday we focused on the smaller spots ahead, and boy did they keep growing all day. It's the top watch on our star right there. Starting the articles hilariously, where they're trying to attribute warming in China over recent decades, scratched the CO2 pathway fairly quickly, and here they are arguing whose pollution drop caused the increase in temperature. You heard correctly. The paper is saying, no, it's not warmer because we stopped polluting, it's warmer because the rest of the world stopped polluting. Just well done, climate science. Aerosol pollution, by the way, does cool the planet. This one is almost a cherry on top of yesterday's poleward traveling ionospheric disturbance study. Also out of China, a look at both poleward and equatorward traveling waves in the ionosphere. Nice identification of both phenomena there during the largest solar event of the last cycle. And looking to some of the largest events of previous cycles, here the plasma depletions are wholly blamed on the equatorward traveling wave from the higher latitude aurora, and not on the commonly blamed equatorial plasma bubbles. The importance of this specific solar forcing for global effects appears paramount and quite historically underappreciated. For our next story today, we come back to the little chart we showed yesterday. It's already well established the Earth is 1,500, 3,000, and 6,000 year cycles, and that the Sun does too. And the link even has a name, the solar Heinrich-Bond cycle. Here, the group fails to recognize or cite those previous works when they try to explain why these cycles exist, but alas, they do find new evidence strengthening the concepts for those major climate cycles of the Earth on 1,500 and 3,000 year cycles. And in that vein, folks, this is much more like what we want to see when it comes to geomagnetic secular variation and generation studies. Tossing out commonly used core characteristics and changing the nature of the magnetic field generation to a poloidal burst of magnetism from the core, taking place periodically over the thousands of years time scale. So what? The core just decides every few thousand years to outburst just because? Or is it the exact mechanism we've been suggesting in our textbook in terms of the whole conductive Earth? Remember, regular, modest solar storms induced through the crust and mantle, big solar blasts can take the full conductive pathway of the LLSVPs to the core, cause that surge in the center, magnetic poloidal expulsion from the core, and these would be the total cause of the field, not small-scale turbulent motions. And it means that after the fast bleed-out over several thousand years, the Sun pumps us right back up with its millennial-scale events. Somewhat smaller of an event, the Sun did have an M-class solar flare while I was narrating this morning's news. Here's the early shots of that event.